Do, do, do.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Andy, it is nice and cool here in this Southern California weather we have recently, but I am still sweating more than Daniel Medvedev is as he utterly obliterates poor Pablo Andujar in Acapulco. Finally catching some winners here at long last in Mexico. It's been a rough week, but I laid the games with Medvedev. I took a little Isner to win. I took a little Giron. I took over 2.5 sets in PCB Giron. So I would love Giron to take this first set and then he can go away.
Yeah, we won't dig into this, but when we left you on Tennis Talk, you mentioned that Sasha is defending points, so he has motivation. Well, he forgot about that in the first set. He remembered.
Oh my goodness!
He remembered eventually.
Yeah,
and then he forgot about it when he didn't sleep a bunch and had to play some more doubles. So it's been a weird tournament. I mean, just real quick, spitballing top of your head, who wins it? Who takes home the pear-shaped trophy?
Well, we are on a collision course for Medvedev and Nadal rematch in the semifinal, which is going to be unflipping believable.
I mean, is that just the winner? I looked at the bracket.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Tsitsipas last night, he barely got back. He by Jiri and then now, yes, these are not fast courts, but that was a miserable performance from Tsitsipas in round one. Now he could build into this tournament, I suppose, as he adjusts to conditions and gets over
does that
travel,
sometimes though, where he has some early round troubles. I don't know. I'm not hopeful, but
no, the bottom half of the bracket is wide open right now. I would say it's anyone's guess who comes out of that mess. Carreño Busta had the cleanest first round performance, but he's struggling right now against Giron. Tsitsipas should get by JJ Wolf, but Wolf has some tricks up the sleeve. He may be able to make that a tough match.
Ohio State's own.
I think
JJ
Isner.
Wolf.
I think you're probably going to look at. You're probably going to see Isner or Nadal or Medvedev potentially taking on Isner in the final, which will be a letdown. But that's okay.
That won't be a final. I'll be too jazzed up for, as it probably will be about a 40. Well, I don't know. I mean, John will still hold serve a bunch.
Andy, so, I mean, it is the year 2022. It's the year 2022 of our Lord, which means it's probably going to be Djokovic in Dubai and Nadal in Acapulco, because the more things change, the more they stay the same.
That's a good Cinderella song for any of you 80s metalheads. But as you can see by the title of this podcast, by the title of this stream, by the time of the year we're in, we're going to talk more NBA. We really got into the weeds on both levels of basketball on Monday. Had some fun kind of digging into like where you should start. I know a big stopper for Drew was, hey, don't start betting NBA right now. But we did mention it. We had some caveats to that. We said, hey, if you are going to try out some new modeling or some new betting, paper bet or bet very small, or just start to work on set the groundwork for next year. Because I mean, it's like people who start a diet or working out on January 1st. Like, why didn't you start a month ago? Like, why does a certain day matter? It's the same thing with this. You can start setting the groundwork for next year if you want, and I think you'd be really in good shape for the next NBA season if you were able to start following the market, start learning about the market, start learning about some of the we're going to get into some advanced statistics eventually. So we're going to reset it because we do start again tomorrow. There's no games tonight on Wednesday, but tomorrow is the startup of the second half of the season, when teams do start to ramp up towards that playoff push. It gets a little weird now with the weirdness that is the play-in tournament as teams do jockey. There's a high premium now on the, what is it, the 7 seed? Who goes into the play? 7, 8, or 8.
So
9, 7,
back
8,
in the
9,
day,
10?
Yeah, back in the day, 7-8, you were in clean. Now, if you are the 7 seed, you host a play-in game. The way it works,
You still have a decent
seven,
advantage as
yeah,
a 7
7
seed,
and
but a
8
6 seed
play.
helps. Yep.
Oh yeah, 6 seed is the difference between 7 and 6 is huge. Yeah, no doubt. 7 and 8 play in the 7's home arena.
Mhm.
Winner officially gets the 7 seed.
Yep.
The loser plays the winner of the 9 and 10, who play in the 9 seeds home arena. So it's double elimination, double elimination for the loser of the 7-8 match. And we saw that matter last year as the Lakers defeated the Warriors. The Warriors then hosted the Grizzlies and got defeated, and the Grizzlies move on to the 8th seed to take on the Utah Jazz. Won the first game and then lost 4 straight.
Still, I think it's fun. And, Commissioner Silvers talked about the possibility of an in-season tournament. The malaise, and I don't know, because I don't handicap NBA basketball. I don't bet much of it unless you or Noops or somebody tells me to. I really stay away from it. So I don't know if I'm out of turn, if I'm talking out of line here, and if this would piss you off as somebody who spends a lot of time on this. But the malaise of the mid-season, I kind of would like the in-season tournament. I like some of these changes that the NBA has made. It's fun. Like the do or, it's not do or die for the 7 and 8. They have a second chance, but the do or die nature of the 9-10 game and then the second game that the winner of that plays, like those are fun. Even in the baseball, adding some of those 1-game series, there's a lot of drama to the do or die stuff. I don't know how the in-season tournament would work or how it would matter. I suppose you just have to make it money. Like you guys get a shitload of money or something. You take all the TV money. That would be so fun. But yeah, Holt brings up the Lakers Warrior game. That was a good game.
It was really good.
I was worried about when I first heard about this. I said, man, these 7 and 8 seeds these are the teams that just get their faces melted off by the good teams every year. But when it is a 7 and 8 playing, they should be of similar skill level or at least close enough where those games have turned out fun. So I asked the question and then I kept rambling. Like,
one of the
how
most
would you feel about the in-season tournament if that happened?
Weirdly, no opinion. I don't think it really doesn't change my opinion much. I guess I'm for it. Basically every wrinkle that they've added, there has been, if you are making good fares, if you are a little bit ahead of the information game, if you're just like reading the rules, like you can find an edge and bet it and win on this stuff. I'll never, like, you remember I'm sure you remember this fondly because this was at a time when there wasn't much sports, but the ramp up to the bubble. You remember the ramp up? And you remember how
everybody had those 8 games to play.
No, this was pre 8 games.
Oh, the 8 games was so fun because they offered win totals on those.
The 8 games were fun. There was lots of fun ways to play the 8 games, but before that, they had 3 pre-bubble get back into shape games. Do you remember those?
I had forgotten about that until you brought that up.
And do you remember what happened? Do you not remember what happened?
Yeah, all those games were super weird. Like there was just, I remember you guys did well, and everybody did well on the 8-game set, the 8-game sets too.
They lined the totals like they were going to play a full 48-minute game, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
And if you read the rules, you knew that it was not going to be a full game. This is off the top of my head exactly how it went, but I remember getting like under 200s, under 220s even on stuff that landed in the 150s, 160s. It was like the WNBA All-Star game.
It was 10-minute quarters.
10-minute quarters. That's what it was. Yeah, they took 2 minutes off.
Yeah, they didn't do anything silly at the end, like an
40-minute games instead of 40.
But yeah, there were 10-minute quarters, and some people got caught napping. I had forgotten all about that. I don't think it was for all 3 games. I think it was just maybe the first couple, and then it was like, oh shit, this isn't working.
Yeah, and then we caught some that, like, if you were watching those games and you were watching the starter minutes, you realized real quickly that, like, oh shit, like everything's going in. Like these gyms are like shooter heaven, and it took them a while to adjust on the totals once the games restarted. Absolutely smashed. That was so much fun. Good times.
Well, and then like I said, those win totals they set for every team for the 8 games. those were often very off based on some of the teams' complete lack of motivation in some cases. Like I think it was the Bucks that had just very little incentive to play at all.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Oh, the Bucks had very little incentive to play at all. The Bucks were having all kinds of weird distractions from what was going on in Milwaukee because of the protests and all that stuff. They did not want to be there, and they played.
And they
very
set
poorly.
that at like 6 wins to open.
Way too high. And you know what else about the bubble that's kind of funny that we are reminiscing here? You know who really established themselves in the bubble that the relevance has carried to this day? The Phoenix Suns. The Suns came together under Monty Williams in the bubble, were the best team in those 8 restarts. And now they are they have carried that momentum. Add Chris Paul, go to the finals last year, and they are the world beaters this year. That all started in the bubble. Similarly, you could argue the same for the Heat. Jimmy Butler kind of bringing that team together, bringing these young guys up, Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Bam Adebayo, they certainly coalesced on that finals run for the Miami Heat, and here they are on the precipice of a 1 seed in a conference with Kevin Durant and the super team, conference with Joel Embiid, your presumptive MVP. Nope, not so fast, my friend. Miami Heat look very likely to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, and it's funny too because at first I had a standings pulled up that had everybody in it, and I looked and like, oh man, like is the East just not good? I don't think that's the case, and hopefully you back me up on this. I think it's just a lot more balanced, and because I look at like the Miami Heat are tied for the 1 seed right now with the Bulls. Maybe they have the tiebreaker, and that's why they're listed first. They have the best record in the East. They have 10 fewer wins than the Suns. They're behind the Warriors and the Grizzlies as well. Is it top heavy in the West? Is that what I'm seeing, or are those teams just variants and they've been playing well?
The West is top heavy. The West has a decent middle class. The East is just lacking the team that just can go to FU mode and get a win when they need it, right?
Yeah, Phoenix has only lost 10 games. I had no idea. I really just don't look at the records.
If Chris Paul stayed healthy and they kind of pushed, they probably win 70 games, which is not easy in the NBA in an 82-game schedule. That said, they're still going to get the 1 seed, in my opinion. But ultimately, no, I think you can, depending on the time of year you've looked at any type of market rating, depending on the availability of the players, basically anyone except for Toronto in the 1 through 8 seeding has been considered the best or rated close to the top or could get the 1 seed. Even your Bulls, as injured as they have been, even your Bulls have been
resilient. Is what
just
resilient is what they are.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan having a season that nobody saw coming, except for Chicago.
You just keep throwing injuries at them, and they just are so resilient. It's probably a team of destiny. And yeah, the Sixers, especially now with the. Let's focus on the East because you're talking the East and you're talking about every one of these teams. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to make the case for the Bucks. The Celtics have played well, and now that the 538 model's really liking them. I guess the Nets also doesn't take a lot to make the case for it's a fucking super team. I don't care if they're in the 8th spot right now. The Heat, what they've done the last couple of years with that core, the Bulls just playing above their heads, the Cavs playing above their heads, and obviously the addition of a young player there that's helped quite a bit. The Sixers are the ones I suppose everyone's focused on. I don't take in a lot of NBA content. I'm guessing everybody's just talked about this week, and we're just going to rehash it again. Like, are the Sixers? Should the Sixers be the favorite in the East after the trade? I still like the Bucks. I don't know,
dude. I have some hot takes on all this.
Hit me with it. Start with the Sixers. Are they better or worse off after this?
Okay, so. If we go to that trade specifically, what happened? So Ben Simmons and Seth Curry head to Brooklyn. And Andre Drummond head to Brooklyn. James Harden comes back. Is in a vacuum, is James Harden better than Seth Curry and Andre Drummond? Yes. Was Ben Simmons ever going to play another minute of basketball for the Sixers? No. So on paper,
So it's just Seth for Harden, and Seth is a very good player.
Seth's a very good player, but he's not James Harden. And so on paper, the Sixers upgraded their team, and this is a Sixers team that was expected to be competing for. They were the 1 seed last year. They have the presumptive MVP, as we said. But there's still a lot of things that aren't quite right about this team. They're still coached by Doc Rivers, so in a best of 7 series, best of luck to them. But realistically, they are 35-23 right now and sitting in the 3rd seed if the playoffs started today. Their schedule's not easy down the home stretch, and now they have to figure out on the fly how to put James Harden together with Joel Embiid. Sounds easy, right? 2 superstars. We've seen this happen multiple times. In fact, there's been lots of ink spilled, tears shed, sweat and tears poured into, hand wringing over what happened. These 2 superstars going to fit together, and it always does. However, I will say that, however, this is not a great fit. I don't mind saying in any way, shape, or form that I have huge questions about how these 2 players play together, and it has nothing to do with the offensive side of the ball. Actually, it does have something to do with the offensive side of the ball. Harden is not he's not pre-pandemic Harden. That's for sure, right? If this were Harden in his kind of MVP level where he could literally take over a team and get them to whatever they needed in any given night because he was capable of creating whatever offense he needed, I would say, yeah, they'll figure it out. They only probably need 5-10 games. They'll figure it out. I wouldn't worry about it. He's not that player anymore. He has more difficulty creating offense now that they have changed the rules and they have made his particular wrinkle of
his particular brand of bullshit.
His particular brand of bullshit isn't legal anymore. And are they going to call it the same way in the postseason as they do in the regular season? Maybe, but there's not calling it that way in the regular season, and they're not going to change it coming out of the All-Star break. So he's not going to all of a sudden get to the free throw line more often, and his 3-point shot is not as good as it was pre-pandemic. He's put on weight. He's not getting as much space against the one-on-one when he's being defended. Defenders are defending the 3-point shot more aggressively because they instituted the Harden rule. And so all of those things are real, and his ability to kind of fill it up offensively is not the same. There was a moment when KD got hurt and we were talking about it and we're like, this is kind of the test, because this same time last year, KD got hurt. He missed 20 games and Harden stepped up and we were like, holy shit, he might be the MVP. This is a guy that quit on Houston. It was wildly out of shape, got traded to Brooklyn, and he just had a shirt underneath his jersey. But yeah, well, he was playing so well in the absence of KD that we were like, man, he might be the MVP. And no, that is not the same player that you have taking the court now. A lot of it is the rule change, and just in general, the aging curve is hitting him. If there's if I haven't seen even in his career that he has gone hand in hand with a guy who's a true post-up scorer, right? There's not do you remember James Harden and Dwight Howard experience? Yeah, I was
trying to think.
How was that?
Houston.
How was that one? You remember that one? That was fun for you, right? The Dwight Howard, James Harden era.
Honestly, the Dwight Howard in anybody right now for the last few years. And I like the guy.
Yeah. He's not, obviously, Embiid is a much better player. I'm not comparing Embiid to Dwight Howard. I'm just saying that in general, it's not like we have a ton to point to about the way that Harden's game operates that says that this is going to be a slam dunk, no doubt. These guys are going to get along swimmingly, right? And part of my thought process on this is just the best center that Harden ever played with in terms of fit was PJ Tucker. Honestly, like that was like the right kind of guy that you want on the floor with Harden because of what he does defensively. And now what Harden, he was always a lax defender. He always was a switch everything guy. And now he's gotten even more ingrained into that way of thinking, which means basically if Embiid had X defensive responsibilities with the old unit, now his defensive responsibilities are going up because Harden is switching guys onto Embiid. That's for sure happening, right? And to me, I think that opens up risk that number one, Embiid could get injured, right? I mean, he's going to now be doing a lot more physical basketball. Obviously, game one of this season, he bumped knees with Jonas Valanciunas in a physical moment. We haven't seen him play much physical defense since. He's gonna have to pick up the physical aspects of his defense because of the addition of Harden and what he lacks defensively. And realistically, there's still a lack of shooting on this team. I don't exactly know who the closing five is around Harden and Embiid. And on even upgrading their team on the basis of the fact that they went from Seth Curry and Andre Drummond to Harden, I have a very real possibility that they land in the 7th seed and that they're playing their way into this tournament.
Not an easy start to the season, taking on the Finch and the upstart T-Pups. It's kind of a fun team. I'm paying attention to them now, at least. I might be back into fandom. I might do it. I might be the fan of a team again. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to get hurt again. I want to put a pin in Harden, and I want to talk about him in the second half of the show when we get into some analytics a little, because I think he's an interesting test case for some of my questions. Go to the other side. I don't know, just casual NBA basketball Andy stepping in here. The Ben Simmons thing, and I'm not even going to delve into the whole mental health question that Twitter just freaking destroyed for 2 days. Nobody knows what's going on with anybody. That we're all strangers in the world. Like, I guess like it was worth arguing, but I mean, common sense can play. Like he kind of quit on that team at times.
Yes,
like that's what happened. I mean, if you want to be mad at me about that, be mad at me. But like, I believe he quit on that team. And my last memory is casual Andy is him being wide open under the bucket and passing. Like I can't get that out of my head ever. So like, and that actually probably does speak to some sort of mental block. Like that is something mental that is bothering him or is affecting his gameplay, and that's why he's such a wild card. Like, how do you evaluate his value to this team when you haven't seen him play in ever? And the last time you've seen him, he was doing that sort of shit. And then the $1 million question, $1 million question, Andy. You got the Kyrie thing, and then you got Durant's health.
Yeah, Durant's health. All of these are questions. Joe Harris's health. Like we were joking in the basketball chat today, but I was being somewhat serious. Like the closing five for the Nets, if it does not have Joe Harris on that closing five, they are imminently defendable, like very defendable. You will have two non-shooters on the floor, and literally it will be every single possession will be Ben Simmons is wide open, but he doesn't want the fucking ball. And so you're basically, it's going to, a best of 7 series could potentially work out to like, well, the Nets desperately need James Johnson or LaMarcus Aldridge to create offense for them because Kyrie is well defended and Durant is well defended, and who would even be the other guy? Seth Curry, I guess. So maybe you're going to be counting on Seth Curry giving you offense, which didn't go great for the Sixers last year in the playoffs, by the way. And yeah, I mean, Simmons very much, is a huge question mark in terms of his offensive contributions to that team. Now, that said, he's a huge fit solution to them if they do have Joe Harris on the floor and they do have shooters. Like you want a versatile around Kevin Durant. You want your ideal group is 3 and Ds. And if you can't have a 3 and D at the Simmons position, that's fine. Like he's a versatile enough defender. You can have him on the floor and you can do a lot of things defensively with Simmons on the floor with Durant All right. But certainly offensively, you need another lights out shooter with Durant, with Kyrie, and with Curry to be sort of the, 4 players you have to have respect for offensively. If that makes sense. Now, that said, Andy, if you were writing the script for how this NBA season played out and you wanted to make the play-in game as absolutely must-watch TV as possible, you send the Nets to Philadelphia in the 7-8, right?
I was going to say even even Boston underperforming a little, Toronto lapping them. Like Boston, Brooklyn, Boston, Philly, Brooklyn. Like that's a really good standalone game.
But the best is Simmons and the Nets
heading
into Philly.
And
honestly, to answer your question, if you are a mentally fragile individual and you have to go back into that crowd, into that arena, into that setting, best of luck to you, Ben Simmons. So I think, realistically, like I may be giving this too much like plausibility just because I want to see it. But a 7-8 matchup between winning you're in between Philly and Brooklyn would be unbelievable.
I would watch it.
Oh yeah, of course. And then of course Brooklyn would host the 7-8 or the 8-9. It would probably be the Hawks. I'm guessing they're going to host the Hawks in the 8-10 matchup or 8-9 matchup. To punch their ticket to the playoffs. But even if that doesn't materialize, the chances that we eventually get a Philly-Brooklyn series are real in this playoffs. And in those moments, what can you count on Simmons giving you in the Philly games? I just don't know how to quantify it. And yeah, all your other questions are real. I do think you get a full complement of playoff minutes from Kyrie Irving. It sounds like New York's giving up the ghost here.
I was going to say, it sounded like the New York, the restrictions were going to get eased up, and boy, you have to, especially if it comes to playoff time. You want to sell some tickets to those games. Let's make the Nets great again. But it's an interest. It's a super, I think, to steal a term from, Taleb, I guess, but from our guy Plus EV that uses it a lot, it's super fragile team.
Oh yeah, because
Durant, injury prone, if you believe in injury prone or not, he is, just because he's a giant person, and those kind of people get hurt playing. When you're built like him, it just seems like that's an injury prone kind of body type, especially playing a professional sport. And then you have a guy that might not be able to play because of restrictions if that doesn't go how it's planning. And then you have Ben Simmons. Yeah. So it's a Seth Curry show, baby.
Durant is 33 and change. He is off of one Achilles replacement. And
what if there's a series against Toronto?
That's possible too. So here's the other thing is, how quickly does Brooklyn get up to speed? Do they finish hot? They have a difficult schedule. They only have, if I look at kind of like who has quote unquote gimmies, Nets only have 7 out of their 23 remaining games that are gimmies. Everything else they're going to have to play for. I'm projecting them to finish most likely projected finish for them 14-9. And that would put them at 45-37, which would give them the 8 seed in the East. Tied with the Atlanta Hawks.
I think no matter what, the 7-8 in the East is going to be really good. I want to flip. I'm not even going to bring up the Bulls. I have full faith.
Well, let's go up the list from there, and let's talk about your Bulls. Bulls are the biggest at-risk team to fall down the standings. They're currently in the number 2, and their schedule is hard, and they're still not healthy, and they can't play defense. All of those things are a problem. They have meaningful issues in Chicago. You're not.
I have one.
They do have your support though.
The main question is, they have played 59 games.
Yes.
So they will play another 23. Can they win 6 of them? That's all that matters.
Yes.
I don't
They have-
give a shit if they get swept out of the playoffs.
They
I
have
don't
5.
have any futures on them. I just have regular season win totals.
You need 6 to get that, really?
I played it late. I played like 43, and I mean, people got like
Oh.
42 and a half. Yeah. I think I have a 40. I'll go check. I thought it was 43 and a half or 43. So I think I need 5 for the push, 6 for the win or something. Either way, but I'm hoping they get there despite the injuries. I mean, that is my question. Again, casual NBA Andy, who knows of the injuries,
Yeah.
knows of the problems. He doesn't really go and look at, hey, when is this guy back? Like
Yeah.
what is the best case and worst case scenario for the injuries that they're currently sitting on come playoff time?
Best case scenario is that the All-Star break, Zach LaVine got 100%, which is not very likely, and that Pat Williams comes back in April, and they have defense. Because right now it's not great. This is one of your worst defensive teams that is a contender, and they're getting it done with late game heroics from DeMar DeRozan. And if you want statistics that are sticky, late game heroics from DeMar DeRozan are not one of those. So I wouldn't count on that for playoff success. That said, Vucevic he's a good offensive center. He's a disaster defensively. They desperately need rim protection help. They give up anything you want at the rim, but they defend the 3 fairly well. So they should win 48 games this season. Right now, I'm projecting them to win 10 out of their final 23, get to 48 and 34 for the season, which I think would make them the 6th seed by my projections.
Can live with that.
6th seed, they draw the Bucks potentially in the 3-6 matchup by my numbers. You're gonna take a game from the Bucks in the United Center? Go out, gentlemen sweep to the defending champion Bucks.
It's not really a rivalry, is it? It's silly that it's not.
Really.
You know why? As much as like Bears Packers are, and Green Bay's a long way from Chicago, like that's essentially one city. Like when you drive from downtown Chicago to downtown Milwaukee, you barely leave the city. It's just one big mess. Like that should be a better rivalry. And I suppose it comes down to divisions and all and how things work, and the fact that the Bucks weren't very good for chunks where the Bulls were, but both teams have to be good to make a rivalry work at the same time, I think. Talk Heat then, because they're right up there too.
Let's keep going up. We haven't mentioned the Raptors, who I know I am high on them. Don't come and tell me that I'm high on the Raptors. I know that I am high on them. I'm projecting them to do relatively well down the stretch, 17-8, getting to 49 wins, which would give them the 5 seed. I don't expect them to do much in the playoffs. This is a young team that relies on a lot of young players and really relies on Pascal Siakam, who is one of the hot, cold players. He's like a major hot hand guy. My God, when things are going well, he is dynamic. When things are going poorly, he stinks. And so keep an eye on Siakam's form specifically if you want to know how far the Raptors can go. But ultimately, I have them getting the 5. I have the Cavaliers getting the 4 seed. I have them winning 15 of their final 24 games and getting to 50 and 32, which is holy crap. That is so much better than was expected of them preseason. But they have a handful of games against relatively easy opponents. I have them with 7 gimmies out of their 24. But a lot of teams have not been taking them seriously. Like they've gone into Cleveland and just not really kind of gone especially hard. And so they've got, I don't know that changes on the fly. They may slide a bit, who knows, but Bucks, Celtics, and Heat, I have finishing in 3-2-1. Who do you want to talk about first? Heat?
Yeah, Heat, because I guess that was my biggest surprise. I knew they were playing well, but again, I think I was just surprised overall at the top of the standings. Like, man, it's a mess.
Yeah, I'm projecting the Heat to finish 18-5. 56 wins, 3 games clear of Boston for the 1 seed. The Heat have had a very, very bizarre season because they're off. I forget about them all the time. Like I forget that they were even in the mix for an Eastern Conference championship all the time. But the truth is they have not been very healthy. But they're winning games with their depth a lot of the time. Like the fact that they are at 38-21 is due to the fact that they have really done a good job of developing some of their bench players to step in when needed. You're getting meaningful contributions out of the likes of Omer Yurtseven and of course, and they have a very, very, very good core. Their closing five is absolutely among the best in the NBA. And if Jimmy Butler is healthy, if Kyle Lowry is healthy, they have multiple ways to create offense in a close game. And the Heat, they still have what I think they have the coaching advantage surely over the Celtics. The Heat won the Eastern Conference Championship on the back of what, Andy? Do you remember? It was a wrinkle from Eric Spoelstra that Brad Stevens never solved it. The zone defense, the very complicated wrinkle. The Celtics never solved it. Basically the Celtics have a fatal flaw in its passing. If the Celtics and the Heat run into each other at any stage in the playoffs, I think you have to go Heat. And realistically, the Heat match up fairly well against the Nets, even at full strength. That's kind of your nightmare situation if you're the Nets, is that you fight your way into the 8th seed, and who do you draw as the Heat? You're probably one and done, which is insane to say, considering that you have that super team assembled 2 years ago, getting nothing out of it.
Some good questions about something I don't think about a lot until you start bringing it up, and we've had some fun with these bets over the years, but a couple of people are kind of asking about Boston to win the Atlantic then.
Yeah, I think it's very real. So
with your I can't remember all your projections. Like do you have them splayed out by divisions? Who do you have winning the divisions then?
Celtics 4 games clear of the Raptors in the Atlantic for me. I have them 53-29. That is a very, very bullish projection. Their schedule's not easy. They only have 7 gimmies. But the way that they're playing right now, particularly team defense with their closing 5, is absolutely outstanding.
Where do you have them compared to Philly?
I have Philly at 48 wins and Boston at 53. So I have the Celtics 5 games clear of the Sixers.
Well, you have the Raptors ahead of the Sixers.
I do. Yeah.
It's wilding over there.
Yeah. yes. If you ask me, and again, like, there's so thin margins here that my order is soft. Like, and actually, go to Unpredictable. You can see it there too. Like, you look at the projected seeds of everyone in the Eastern Conference, and it's like 15% from the Celtics have 18% 2, 20% 3, 19% 4, 17% 5, 12% 6. Like, it's flat from 2 through 6 for them, and that's absolutely wild. I don't think anyone's catching the Heat in the East. If you want to take a long shot, then go for it. Celtics are a decent look. Cavs are a decent look, but I wouldn't play them at shorter than 10-1.
I think these are more fun, the division odds, because I don't know if people just don't pay attention to divisions. They don't mean what they, it's not the same as in baseball or football, where it means a lot to win your division, especially football, where obviously you're auto in and just the way the standings line up. Like,
put a pin in that comment until we get to the West. And funny little wrinkle.
There are some wrinkles with seeding, but the Bulls, I think I know where you're going with this. The Bulls 3 clear or 2.5 clear the Cavs, 2.5 clear the Bucks. I'm guessing I'm trying to think what you remember. You would have the Bucks winning that division?
I have the Bucks winning the Central. Yeah.
And then the Heat are just so far out from the Hornets.
I make the Bucks. Here's some of my prices. So I make the Bucks -125 to win the Central. I make the Cavs the second choice and the Bulls third. I make the Celtics +180 to win the Atlantic. Raptors I have second at +250. Sixers I have third at +280, and Sixers right now are -200 to win the Atlantic, which is, again, this is like, I could be wrong. Like, Embiid could, step on the gas and really secure that MVP.
Well, we have a half season of injuries yet. A lot of shit can happen.
Yeah, right.
You could be really right and lose that bet by 10 games.
Yeah.
I mean, just a bad injury here or there is a good way
Yeah.
to derail your way to a division championship. So,
Technically, we only have 29% of the season left.
oh yeah, it is a dumb unbalanced.
Mhm.
Whatever,
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Wow, it is coming right up on our asses. Playoffs, when I like it. All right, did you have anything else on the East before we?
The Bucks are in a funny spot. You brought it up as you kind of assumed they were going to win the East. Is that right?
I just think they're. I think they're sneaky because they're sitting down there at 5 and they have so much talent.
And they have the best player in Giannis. In any given series, you put Giannis over any other player. I think you have to. His defensive impact on a series is you can't.
That's good. That's good point.
You can't quantify that. He might be your defensive player of the year, honestly. Although one of my NBA guys very, very high on a long shot price for Bam Adebayo, defensive player of the year. So see if you can track that down. Pop a little $5 or $20 on your defensive player of the year market. Put that in your pocket. But yeah, Giannis is going to be the best player in any series. There's no one that can match up with him on any of these teams. 1v1. The problem is the rest of the guys. The Bucks are not going to. I could be wrong. Brook Lopez, I don't think is walking through that door, and that matters because that changes the way that they play their defense, and it makes them a little bit stale offensively in the half court, especially. Not that he was like some big offensive unlock anything, but he could at least shoot, and so you had to respect him if he was around the out at the perimeter. That opened up lanes for Giannis to slash, to get over rebounds, all that stuff. The rest of the guys around their big three, Middleton has taken a step back this season. Drew Holiday has been a little inconsistent, and then 4 and 5. Anyone's guess. Pat Connaughton has been the answer for a lot of important minutes for the Bucks so far this season. That's not good. They lost 3 of 4 coming down the stretch after Connaughton got hurt. DiVincenzo was traded. There are serious questions about the way they still play 3-point defense. They give up a lot of threes around the perimeter. If they go up against a Heat team and Tyler Hero is hot from 3, Duncan Robinson is hot from 3, good night. Like, you are in trouble. So there are a lot of reasons to be skeptical of the Bucks making another run. However, we would have said that about LeBron when he was the best player in the East many seasons when he was on the Cavs, and yet he still got his team to the finals. So if Giannis does it, will we be surprised? Not even a little bit.
Yeah, team sport, but it is amazing what one transcendent player can do.
I agree.
Just taking over games like that, especially a guy who can do it at both ends. And he's not Cat from the 3-point line, but the rest of his game is pretty good.
He had his anti-gravity around the rim when you see it in person is unbelievable. Like, you basically there's no point in running offense that tries to get to the rim if Giannis is playing.
So I think I had some Nets.
Yeah.
I think I just had some Nets future.
Yeah.
In that series last year. Was that last year? The years again are just the way the NBA season.
Yeah, with the toe on the line that Kevin Durant was a toenail away from the finals.
So I watched a lot of that series, and honestly, even if I didn't have betting interest, that was just a really good series. Those games are all really good, but yeah, I would say I was more annoyed with him than anything because his rim protection is it's very annoying when you're betting against that team. It's
like, God damn, we can't get anything easy.
It's just I think that's the best way. I couldn't come up with a nice way to put it, but he just takes away anything easy if he's anywhere nearby.
Yeah, and also it looks unfair what he's doing, and so if you're watching it on television, you're inevitably like, are the refs ever going to call anything? Are they just going to let him do this? They're just going to let him do this.
You're just going to let him get away with this?
They're just going to let him do it. But in reality, he's playing extremely, extremely well defensively. And
he almost carried a really shitty team to the finals of the skills challenge. Tennessee's not good. Tennessee. I always mix them up with Kakanakis. I always say Tennessee, but it's like Tenasis. I don't know.
Tenasis. Tennessee's. Okay. I know. I think realistically, I have concerns about Milwaukee's longevity in the playoffs because of that specific, the depth specifically. And what's funny is that used to be the anti-problem with the Budenholzer team. He used to go too deep to his bench, and now they have literally no one to go to. And so, the problem's been solved by accident. But boy, oh boy, would they need like a guy like Brook Lopez or some shooters or just anyone, because you're getting a lot of Grayson Allen minutes. Grayson Allen sucks. He's not good in terms of his role, what they're asking to do, role and responsibility wise. They could miss PJ Tucker in this playoffs if they go up against the Nets, because PJ Tucker was such a good, perfect piece to match up against Durant in that series. I don't know what you do 1v1 versus Durant. You kind of just have to let it go and kind of have to outscore them. So yeah, no, the Bucks have a lot of flashing warning lights, but they still probably win.
I agree. Was that everybody? We didn't touch on the Cavs a lot.
The Cavs are your classic
overperform in the regular season.
Great story, great job, guys. Get a home
5.
playoff series, and you're done. You're up against a team that has bona fide superstars.
Well, I mean, just look at how the standings sit right now. Let's pretend all your projections are dead wrong, and the standings are exactly as they sit here on February 23rd.
Yeah.
And you are hosting the Bucks. That's not a serious win.
No, I think the best possible outcome for the Cavs is drawing the Raptors in the 4-5, and then I can make a plausible case that
or a Bulls team that doesn't get healthy.
Or a Bulls team that doesn't get healthy. Bulls, Cavs, and honestly, like, if that's what, no one's rooting for that, so that's probably gonna happen. Cavs, Bulls, no one wants to see that. That could happen. Cavs, Raptors, no one wants to see that. That could very well happen. So, I think from an entertainment standpoint, Cavaliers Raptors would be a great series. I would enjoy it. I don't think anyone else would really appreciate it. And if you're a Cavs fan long term, you are dying for Garland, Allen, and Mobley to get playoff minutes together and find a couple of tough wins together, as a unit, and then kind of backfill around them next season.
I was gonna kind of ask that same kind of question. I don't. It sounds like something bullshit narrative-y that you're saying. I don't think that's a word, but I do think there is something to that. Teams, young cores, or just a core altogether. Maybe not a young core, but even an inexperienced core of players who they get some minutes in high stakes playoff games like that. Like, there is something to that. And that was my question about Budenholzer. Do you rate him higher now as an in-game scheme, or pre-game prep, as a leader of men? Like, I know people were down on him. Basically everybody put our guy Spoon.
Boy, is that a tough one. I don't know if I'm ever going to be a Budenholzer guy.
You don't have to be a Budenholzer guy. You just have to be, have to be Bud neutral.
I'm Bud neutral. Yeah,
I think I'm there.
Neutral. Yeah, I'm Bud neutral. I'm anti. Okay, if you Budenholzer versus Doc Rivers in a best of 7 series.
God,
now we're talking. Let's go.
Oh, I mean, can you imagine the gifs we'd get of those two men's faces?
It would be good. But the likelihood of Budenholzer getting his lunch fed to him by Spoelstra with this team that the Heat have, I think, is real. The likelihood of even Steve Nash has some good assistants. Like, Steve Nash isn't like some sort of genius in terms of a coaching mind, but he gave Budenholzer a lot of trouble last year, so we'll see. Budenholzer, did he do anything in the Suns series to turn that around, or was it solely Giannis?
Still getting heated about my bread rankings. Noops.
You forgot Texas toast?
It's so good too.
Oh, Jesus.
I use it on BLTs. I use it for French toast. Noops legitimately wants to make a 64 team bracket with bread. I think we have enough.
I think it's doable. Yeah,
it is very doable. All right, we're 49 minutes deep on the East. I don't even think Let's switch over to they don't have cool nicknames for it like in baseball, the junior circuit, just the Western Conference, whatever.
The
Western Conference.
yeah.
Western
The
Conference,
conference that no one stays up to watch.
yeah, I know. Even like that is, I think that's the hardest part about being, for me, like being a Timberwolves fan, Central Division. Like you got the Clippers, Lakers, Blazers, Nuggets, Jazz, Warriors, Suns, Kings. That might be all of them. Like there's a lot of West Coast teams. Like when I was young, I stayed up late to watch the Timberwolves a lot, like games starting goddamn 9 o'clock. And that was fine when I was like 16, but watching KG and Starberry, but boy, howdy, I can't do it anymore. So that's maybe that's my excuse for not being a good fan. But like I mentioned, yeah, the Suns not running away with it. It's only 6 games, 6.5 between them and the Warriors. But there is a little bit of intrigue down at the bottom that I don't think we saw in the East. Whereas I guess Washington could sneak in. I don't see the Knicks turning things around, but like the space between the Lakers at 9 and like the Kings at third to worst is only 5 games. Is there a chance the Lakers don't even make the play in? That's just all. That's
No,
my joy.
No. They make the play in for sure.
Okay.
Very decent chance they don't make the playoffs though. Market currently hanging them about 50-50 to make the playoff field of 8. I am projecting your T-Wolves to finish with the 7 seed. They will be hosting the 7-8 matchup against the Los Angeles Clippers, who I think finished 41-41. I have the Timberwolves at 44-38. I have the Clippers at 41-41. I have the Lakers finishing 9th at 38-44. I have the Spurs at 10th in 36-46. So I'm projecting Lakers Spurs as the first of the play-in games. And then the winner will take on likely the Clippers for the 8th seed. So let's just go ahead and assume that the Lakers can win one elimination game against the Spurs and a second one against the Clippers. Is that fair?
I'll give it to you.
I mean, it's going to be in the Crypt, which is their home as well.
Oh, so look at this too. Talking Kevin Harlan before he was like our Timberwolves announcer.
Kevin Harlan,
those games were so fun with him. I feel you, young fella. That's what he'd say about KG. KG was fun till he quit on us. Went to Boston. Glad he got his ring. Whatever. Back to the conference.
Anything is possible, Andy.
Anything is possible. Playoff game. So Timberwolves playing a play-in game. That'll be fun. Maybe I'll.
Oh yeah, they played a play-in game a couple years ago. Did not win. Do you remember that? It was a tiebreaker.
If they host a play-in game, if they truly do get the 7th seed, I'll go. I'll go to that. That'd be fun.
I think it was they were on the road against the Nuggets in the tiebreaker for the 8. Does that sound right to you?
Sure.
Nuggets beat them?
Probably.
Yeah, that was a good game. Unders in the play-in, guys. Just play the unders. I like what the Timberwolves are doing in terms of building out a team. They have a couple of very unheralded contributions from some of their players down the board a little bit, who you don't necessarily think of. Like I have Patrick Beverley as a top 3 defensive guard, which is he's amazing. He's very, very.
That's why we signed him. That's why we signed him to an extension.
He's no Alex Caruso, but he's very, very good as a defensive guard.
Look at me! I just said we. I'm so deep in this fandom already.
But yeah, no. I mean, overall, like Ant's the real deal. Cat looks happy to be there, which is a huge swing from what he has been at times.
Well, not only unhappiness with the team and the situation, but that guy had a rough year.
Oof, boy, did he!
Like, I wish him nothing but the best because he had a rough just in his personal life. So
everybody and their mother is trying to get rid of Jared Vanderbilt and upgrade the 4 for the T-Wolves, but he fits perfectly with what they want to do. So I wouldn't. He's the kind of the perfect defensive complement to put next to Cat, who can't really protect the rim at all. So I think they're a well-composed team, and they are probably going to continue to get a little bit better year on year, assuming that their guys progress up as opposed to hit a plateau.
Yeah, what if somebody taught Cat some D? What
Well,
would happen?
Andy,
you're talking MVP.
you know
can't
how
just
hard
teach
it,
that at this
you know
point
how
in-
hard it
at
is
this
to
point in
teach an
career.
old cat. You can't teach an old cat new
You can't
tricks,
teach an
Andy.
old cat. That's
You
fair.
can't.
I was gonna say I've never seen someone at this point in their career just hey, he's suddenly good at defense now.
Yeah. But your guys are healthy. They're relatively healthy. I think they get the 7. They don't have quite enough horsepower to get to the 6. There is a very, very solid middle class between 2 through 6. You thought I was gonna say 3 through 6, but I
thought you might have even gone 4, 5, 6, but you were going all the way up to the Golden State Warriors, who are again. And this is the thing about them for me, and it's not something new. Just so tough at home. Like looking at their home record again, it's right up there with the Suns, honestly. But I don't know. Like mystique is kind of on for the casual NBA follower like Andy again. Like it's not the Warriors of a few years ago. I'll wait for him to get. I want you to sell me the Warriors. And maybe you're not going to sell me the Warriors. I want you to sell me the Warriors.
Going hard in the other direction.
I want you to sell me them as a team that can win a playoff series.
I will sell you a Warriors no on from a lot of different angles.
All right.
There are a lot of warning signs with this Warriors team. They were gifted a very easy schedule out of the gate to help them try to kind of build a little bit of momentum in their new arena. This is conspiracy theory talk, not proven.
I like conspiracy theory talk.
There are issues certainly going on with a lot of the star players for this team, notably Draymond Green. Draymond Green seems more inclined to work on the next phase of his career than get healthy for this season, which is a huge concern because he is a singularly unique player in what he delivers for the Warriors defensively in terms of flexibility, in terms of team defense overall. And if you look at the success of the Warriors so far this season, not only was some of it because they had a relatively easy schedule early on, but because they play amazing team defense. And fixing that in the absence of Draymond Green has not been easy. I think there is a realistic shot that, again, like all of this goes right out the window if Curry catches a heater and carries it through into April and May. Like if Curry's unstoppably hot offensively, then they can beat.
So I know you did. I know you didn't watch the All-Star game.
Guess what, Andy? They're going to play a little bit more defense than that. Sure.
That is a fair caveat. Yeah. I didn't see a ton of defense in those first.
Or was Curry playing well because his wife happened to be there and he had visitation rights with his wife over All-Star break, so he was in the groove again. Yeah, maybe that was part of the positive.
Are you mixing him up with Dell?
No, I'm making a joke at his expense, which isn't fair or nice, but
okay.
That's a weird deal.
There's some rumors.
Yeah, it's a weird deal. And certainly Curry, he's a super fun player to cheer for. Okay.
I think like 3 out of the 4 finals, like I had futures against him.
Oh, okay. So you have some history.
When he threw the mouth guard and got ejected was one of the highlights of my basketball career.
Was that against the Cavs?
I think that was that series. Now I have to rethink that. Dan, help.
No.
Do you remember that?
The mouth guard throw?
When he whipped the mouth guard and it went into the crowd and he just booted him. It's like, man, this guy's a nice guy. This is funny that he got ejected. Yeah. Especially with the cast of characters in that series that were not nice guys.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well,
I'm fine cheering for him now. Whatever.
None of my take really revolves around Curry being hot or cold. Like I think we've seen the best offense we're going to see from him this season. It needs to get better for them to have a realistic shot in a very crowded, all of a sudden, Western Conference middle class. Golden State Warriors do not have an easy schedule down the home stretch here. They only get to play 6 gimmies out of their remaining 23 games. In fact, only having 23 games is kind of an issue for them because Yeah, go
Who
ahead.
has the easiest? I was going to ask this before when you were going through the gimmies and the schedule. Who has the easiest and toughest schedule? And it might be teams that are out of contention, and that's not fun. But I was just curious
Of
on
the
that when you brought up.
contenders, the easiest
Oh,
schedule remaining is Dan's Atlanta Hawks.
ooh.
They got it. They got 11 gimmies out of their remaining 24 games. And if there was one team that you told me is going to surprise people, a little underrated by the market, potentially shoot up the standings, get the 9 seed, it's the Hawks. And actually, that's going to put a little bit of pressure on Philadelphia and Brooklyn and everyone in that kind of play-in range, because they're going to be like, oh shit, we can't fall to 9. Like that's going to come down to a sweat for 7, 8, 9 in the East for sure. There's no such thing as
Dan is a Hawks fatalist, an Atlanta fatalist for sure.
The most difficult schedule remaining is the Milwaukee Bucks, who only have 4 gimmies out of their remaining 22 games.
No such thing as a gimme.
No such thing as a gimme.
Remember the Knicks beat them in that one game?
Easiest. Oh yeah, I definitely do. Easiest schedule remaining. I actually, and really why I'm not freaking out as a Suns stakeholder in the absence of Chris Paul, not freaking out. They have 10 gimmies out of their 24 remaining games. Plus, Monty Williams is a god among men as a coach, and will almost certainly keep them on track to getting to 68, 70 wins, something like that. And I think that the Phoenix Suns bring Chris Paul back rested, healthy, and are in absolute kill mode come playoff time. But that is hopeful optimism for me. The real concern, though, of Golden State Warriors do not have an easy schedule, and Grizzlies, Jazz, even the Mavericks and the Nuggets are close enough to them. Certainly the Jazz and the Grizzlies are close enough to them that they could push them down into the 3 seed or even the 4 seed.
So, and that was my question from because we haven't done a ton of this. We've answered a few questions, but
sure,
somebody like the Atlanta Hawks who has some very high skill position players. Like I love my guy. I love my guy Trey. I hate his hair. He's fun
Sure.
out. I like players who do shit with the crowd, like the whole ice thing. Like that's fun.
Yeah.
I like people who try to piss off the opposing crowds. Like those are my guys. They're sitting in the 10 seed though. So like you say, hey, they have the easiest schedule. I'm not taking the Atlanta Hawks to win the conference. I'm not taking the Atlanta Hawks to win the title. I can't. It's probably not in the cards. Probably, maybe there's a little bit of value there if they scoot up the standings, but that's a big ask. That's a really big ask for either of those. Just where they're sitting in their division, I think that's an awful hard ask too, being 10 games back from the Heat. Are there markets for just make the playoffs then?
There are.
Whereas hey, I'm a 7 seed.
There are, yeah. I'm looking at a price for them that's not awesome, so I wouldn't bet it.
Really?
You kind of need an awesome price for that.
Because you're betting can they get to the 6th seed, and that's
not can they get to the 6th seed, but can they win?
Oh yeah,
the second of the 2 play-in games is the key. Okay, because it's going to be a stretch for them to get to the 7 seed. It's going to be a very, very, very tough, if not impossible, path for them to get to the 6. So forget that. They're going to have to play their way in. Probably they're going to have to play their way in by winning 2 games. Will they beat the Hornets in the 9-10? Almost certainly. Will they beat whoever loses between the 7-8? It depends on who that team is.
Yeah.
I don't love their matchup against the Nets. I don't love their matchup against the Sixers. I don't love their matchup against let's say if the Raptors fall in there, they can beat them. If the Bulls fall in there, they can beat them. But that's probably about it. So basically, you need the Raptors or the Bulls to fall into the 7-8.
What is the price right now for Hawks? Yes.
Like plus 155.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you get like a 2-1.
Yeah, that's probably where I would bet it.
You end up in
find a 2-1.
Well, I mean, there still is a chance they get up to the 8, win that game.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm gonna hunt around. I'm gonna hunt around for some Hawks futures, so I can live vicariously with Dan. Dan's shaking his. I'm doing it anyway.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. Is there?
I like a team with an easy schedule.
Yeah, I mean, a team with an easy schedule is always fun to get involved with for sure. Okay, Yeah, no, I think no, I didn't really ever finish my point on the Warriors. I guess that's not a very good point. I don't love Kerr as a coach. I don't love some of their depth pieces have overperformed this year and are due for regression. And the team defense is a huge question mark if they can repeat or just carry forward the success they had when Draymond Green was on the floor. If he is either not there, if Draymond Green is not there, write him off. If he's not as good as he was in the first 3 months of the season, then Houston, we have a problem for the Warriors defense, and they're going to need.
They're actually located in the Bay Area.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
I'll help you with the geography. You give me the hot takes.
Thank you. Memphis Grizzlies have the tiebreaker over the Warriors because the Grizzlies likely to win the Southeast. How about that? The Grizzlies and the Warriors right now. The Grizzlies are up 2-1 head to head on the Warriors. They have one more game to play. If the Warriors win and they finish 2-2, then it goes to the next tiebreak, which would be, did you win your division?
Did you win your
Memphis
division?
Grizzlies look very likely to win the Southeast. Is that right? The
Southwest.
Southwest.
Because
Memphis is very much in the Southwest. Yeah.
I said I'd help you with geography, but I'm out on this one because New Orleans and Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis Southwest.
This is where just give them cool names like legends and leaders.
I'm projecting both of the Warriors and the Grizzlies to finish with 58 wins, which would tip the 2 seed to the Grizzlies. And the 3 seed would be the Warriors. The Jazz, I'm projecting 1 game behind the Warriors. Jazz, by the way, play the Warriors Jazz play 2 really, really good games right out of the break. I think they play Warriors Suns, if I'm not mistaken. And the Jazz are a team you absolutely have to circle because they're healthy-ish. They have a relatively they made some nice kind of depth moves at the trade deadline. And they're a good regular season team because they're just a tough one-night matchup. And if there's a team in the West that I have my eyes on that could move up the standings and potentially even steal a 2 seed, it is the Utah Jazz, which would really change things into the playoff picture overall. Because the dream scenario really is that we get something like I would love to see a Jazz Nuggets round 1 series. That would be, for old time's sake, for bubble's sake, the Jazz and the Nuggets match up so well, and both teams at altitude going back and forth would be awesome. And Jokic is such a good matchup against a Gobert-led defense. And if the Nuggets get some of their key depth back, Porter Jr. probably not going to make much of an impact, but absolutely expect that the other guy would. Why am I blanking? The guy that tore his ACL in the playoffs last year. Holy shit. Why can't I remember this? You know what I'm talking about? No. He's the. You just said MPJ. Damn. The guy that accidentally tweeted the sex tape. You know what I'm talking about? God damn it! Why do I remember that? But I can't remember his name.
Tommy Lee, Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. Thank you. Jesus Christ! Wow, that was a brain fart.
Sex tape got me there.
Jamal Murray. I would expect he comes back and is decent contribution come playoff time. At which point the Nuggets are a scary out. Jazz Nuggets would be an awesome playoff series. You're going to get a great price on the Nuggets there, and I would play them. Grizzlies are a decent playoff fade, although it depends on who they match up against, certainly. I don't think I will back the Timberwolves if it's the Grizzlies and the T-Wolves in a 2-7, but I will definitely take the Mavericks if it's Mavericks-Grizzlies in a 3-6. Luka Doncic looks primed to win a playoff series, if you ask me.
God, you know what stinks about go look at the division prices for the West. Suns minus 1,000, Jazz minus 800, Grizzlies minus 1,450. And really, the way you're talking with, if I'm to trust your projections, and I do, not really some long shots to be taken in those.
I would not know. I would not get involved.
I'll leave.
You could have gotten some decent prices on some of those not that long ago, but the ship has sailed. Yeah. West is going to be fun playoff matchups. I will almost certainly be backing the Mavericks to win a playoff series, even though Jason Kidd is the coach. Mavericks team defense has been superlative, which is tough to really explain if you break down the player contributions, but it is what it is. They play well together. You want to guess who the highest graded defenders are on the Mavs? It's weird. Like they're all okay to good. No great defenders.
Does Boban still play?
He does kind of.
He's not rated highly.
No, he's a minus defender because he for whatever reason he plays with his feet in cement blocks. I don't know why.
Reggie Bullock?
No, I have let me see here.
Dinwiddie?
Reggie Bullock is definitely not. Dinwiddie is not.
I'm going from the bottom.
Okay.
Does Luka rate high? I don't see
No,
that.
he's a minus defender still. He's big though, which helps because he's usually just a big body on guard. The best defenders:
Dorian
Maxi Kleber
Finney-Smith
and Dwight Powell and Dorian Finney-Smith. Yeah, those three guys are your best defenders, which is a little sketchy, a little spooky. Not exactly sure how this is all working, but doesn't matter. Luka is absolutely emerging right now, this moment in this regular season. I think he continues to carry that momentum into the playoffs, and they're going to be like, there are outside of the Suns, there are two teams that I think you really don't want to play in the playoffs, and they're the Mavericks and the Nuggets. And it's because of Jokic and Luka, respectively. Respectively? No. That's
respectively.
Backwards. That was backwards. You don't want to play the Nuggets and the Mavericks because of Jokic and Luka, respectively.
Yeah, you got to put them in the right order, too.
Right order. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What about the Grizz? Did we get the Grizz?
I think the Grizz are in the same situation as the Cavs. Like they are like
fun story.
You remember like the first year that Steph Curry and the Warriors made the playoffs and people were like, cool. Like they have something cool building here. Like that's where you're at with John Moran and the Grizzlies, right?
Sure.
They need lots and lots. They have one playoff win for them. I mean, yes, they won the two games in the play-in, but they won one playoff game.
Those don't count on the record.
They don't count on the record. So yeah, and they couldn't beat the Jazz, who were, it turns out, very beatable because the Clippers beat them without Kawhi Leonard ultimately. So yeah, no, I think realistically,
look who's back.
MVP and MIP at the same time. Okay. So this
is like the Dak where we talked about what if Dak wins the MVP and then he
so this is what's funny.
And then it all blew up.
This is what's funny is that the awards, like the premier awards markets, are really undecided right now. Like there's not consent. I mean, there's a favorite obviously in Embiid, but that price is ridiculous for MVP. It's basically a 3-man race between Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. And I can see people who are sitting down to vote being like, you know what? Bucks are a 4 seed or whatever, who knows what 3 seed, whatever they get. I can see him, people saying, well, I'll give Giannis defensive player of the year then, because, he's great. And,
he's just so good.
But he's not an MVP. And then Jokic and, whoever gets the higher seed, I think, between the Nuggets and the Sixers will get the MVP vote largely between, the people will boil it down to those two candidates after they give DPOI to Giannis. And then whoever has a higher seed or more wins probably gets the MVP out of those two guys. So
Sure.
Ja's path to the MVP is literally Sixers in the play-in, Nuggets in the play-in, and Giannis in the 4 or 5 seed, Grizzlies in the 2 seed. So you need like a lot of team combinatorics to work out to get Ja the MVP.
I love the word combinatorics. Should we put this malarkey to rest?
It's not happening. I mean,
There's so many people. I'm catching this from every angle.
I have yet to hear he had
Jaren Jackson Defensive Player of the Year. In case you're listening to the podcast form,
Jaren Jackson Jr. JJJ DPOY case.
Triple J cubed.
He had a 5-6 game stretch where he put up impossibly good counting stats in terms of rebounds, blocks, blah blah blah. He steals even. And counting stats are one of the things that the idiots look at when they are awarding DPOI. Like they'll look at like, well, who's the best? Who's got the most rebounds?
Look how many sacks TJ Watt had.
Yeah, right. It's exactly that same philosophy goes into the Defensive Player of the Year, and honestly, that award, like, I think market leader probably Gobert right now, but there's a ton of he is the most important defensive player in the NBA. Period. But there's a lot of voter fatigue for him, and so I can see Giannis sneaking that from him. JJJ is not sneaking it, and I honestly, like, his counting stats have cooled off. He doesn't have anything really to write home about when it comes to sort of the advanced statistical profile either. I would be pretty shocked if JJJ got realistic consideration. He may be like the 4th or 5th place vote getter just because there's been enough buzz about him. But I will be floored if he realistically gets consideration. Is that, I mean, have you heard a good case other than just the
case?
Couple games.
The case is that he had that stretch. Then a couple people talked about it on a couple shows. Then everybody bet it. And then everybody patted each other on the back because the odds went down, because it's a soft, low liquidity awards market. And if everybody puts $100 on it, in 100 different places, it's going to drop like a rock because these books don't want to have huge liabilities on somebody that's catching steam. So I get it. The other person was Robert Williams. We're just kind of evolving into the defense.
Robert Williams, again, like, if you want to talk about guys who ought to be realistic consideration over JJJ, Robert Williams is one of those guys. Like, he's absolutely sick. The problem is, like, he plays a position where Gobert is doing what he's doing better. Do you know what I mean? So he's up against that, which is a problem. Although, like, the Robert Williams being a good defensive player is useful information to you for handicapping a Celtics run through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, because he is absolutely dynamic as a defender, rim protector. He is freaking awesome.
All right, let's run through get back on track with the West, so I can. I gotta get home yet today.
Everybody plays 82 games. A lot of
things going on.
Everybody plays 82 games, and then we have 3 rounds of the playoffs, and the Suns win.
And the Suns win.
It's
like the old joke about the World Cup. Like, they play a bunch of games and then they give Germany the trophy. And I mean, I don't know. I never know if you're joking or not. Like, are the Suns that much better than everyone?
In my opinion, they are. Like, It is like there's no flaw, right?
I've seen this argued too.
What is the argument against the Suns? And no. I may be way too in the weeds on this team.
No. I think you're fine. I know some other smart people that think the Suns are far and away the best team in the league and should win the title. But I saw somebody arguing about this the other day with the NBA in general, and I was on the other side of this. I didn't jump into the fray, but do you think the way that the NBA playoffs and a 7-game series that we see in baseball, hockey, basketball are more conducive to giving you the team that deserved to win the title winning the title, outside of like Eli Manning accidentally getting a couple Super Bowls? Like, not having shit like that happen because single elimination games.
Yeah, I think overall the NBA awards the correct, outside of a few examples where the refs had an outside influence and a few examples where you had singular player performance elevate a team beyond the ultimate strength of that team. I think the best team wins. If it's
injuries and there's still variance and
like
For sure.
you know what the Premier League table champ, Premier League winner of the top of the table and whatever the fuck they call that.
yeah, they call it the table, top of the table.
Top of the table. That's probably the only better way to award a champion, and if you want to give it to the best team, I think. What do you think?
No, that's fair. I mean, like regular season standings over a big sample, like 72 games, is probably the best way to do it. And if the NBA actually gave the trophy to the team with the best standings, the standings would be wildly different because of how teams play during the regular season.
Surely, yeah. And
I agree with you.
I think baseball is pretty chaotically stupid considering they play 162 games and then some series are decided by 5.
Well, that's the difference between baseball and, it's still a 7-game series. But let's pretend Steph Curry could only play games 1, 4, and 7. Like when you have a high end pitcher, it's not the same as a high end basketball player that can play 40 minutes a night for 6 straight games. It's way different with the variance that comes with pitching, and then somehow Atlanta still wins. This is why I called Dan a fatalist, because I lived through the Atlanta run through the playoffs and the Georgia run to the title. Like there was doubt. He had doubts, and honestly, that was a fun World Series. Let's I don't know. I don't think we're getting to advanced statistics today. We're
we'll do that another day. We'll do that
and again, I just said that I said like I'd almost rather have a fun guest for that anyway, so you guys could bounce some stuff back and I can ask more questions.
Yeah.
But hit me with anything else you got on the NBA.
I'll just put
a bow on it.
Yeah. Heat, I think realistically should get the 1 seed in the East. There's some markets out there where they're like, even odds. I think they have their 3 games clear of the next best team, in my opinion. I'm selling market price on Sixers and Nets. I'm very prepared for that to be our 7-8, which would be just outrageously, break the internet type of, this league type of shit. I'm selling the Warriors at market price. I would expect Hawks to come up the standings. I would expect the Jazz to come up the standings. And the teams I would not want to play in the playoffs include the Nuggets and the Mavericks.
I echo those sentiments.
and anyone that spends any time on any podcast talking about the Lakers can find a news slant, because who cares? Talk about, I mean, I'm sure there was I didn't read any of it. I didn't listen to any of it. I'm sure a lot of people talked a lot about LeBron over the All-Star break.
He hit the last shot of the game. Did you see that?
No.
He might be back. He might be back. Real quick too, because I talk about, I want to close with this.
Okay.
Because I have FanDuel open right now, and I'm looking. Okay. They have adjusted regular seaon win totals. Like I'm tempted to look at the Bulls are just go. Bulls are 49.5. I'm tempted to bet the middle.
Do you want to write them down, or do you want Dan to write them down? I'll just tell you.
Oh, we're recording this. I can just watch it back.
Yeah, pick a handful, and I'll tell you over under, and we'll see how I do.
Hawks 41.5. Or I'm not supposed to say the number, am I?
No, you can.
Or I didn't know if you were guessing or if you wanted to.
No. Just tell me the numbers of some of the teams that you are curious about, and I'll tell you where I project them.
Hawks over 41.5, obviously because of the easy schedule. I hope you would say
over projecting them 45.
The Nets 44.5, getting plus money on the under.
I'm projecting them 45.
Yeah, it's minus 128 to the over. We'll leave that one be. We'll leave that. Like I said, Bulls under 49.5, minus 10 either way.
I'm at 48.
Yeah. Our Detroit Pistons 18.5. We didn't talk.
I'm at 17 for the Pistons.
It's plus 100 on the under in FanDuel right now. Okay. I should bring up the Lakers just to be an asshole. I just want to see what it was. 38.5, huh?
I'm at 38. The Lakers I have finishing 38 and 44.
Timberwolves 43.5 shoots to the over.
44.
Good number, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The 76ers 50.5.
48. We got a nice little 1.5 game margin there. So far, the Hawks to the over is the big one.
They're not listing a Phoenix price for me.
Maybe Dan knows somebody on the Hawks hurt, Dan, that I don't know about.
Yeah, but you're very, very rosy on the
all the
Hawks
rest.
and
All the rest of
Rockets.
these, I'm absolutely dialed in.
Jazz
51
and a half.
again? What was the Suns
They
again?
didn't list a Phoenix price.
No Suns. Okay. Well, I don't want to say what my Suns is anyway because you go laugh at me.
John Collins. All right, Jazz 51 and a half.
John Collins, I know he's hurt, but not like expected to be out for a while. Like it seemed like he was considering giving it a go. What is your Jazz number?
51 and a half.
Oh boy, is that an over? Oh boy, 51 and a half.
It's juiced to the under. It's minus 104 to the over, 18 to the under.
That's the worst price on the board.
All right, we'll bet that one too.
I have 50. I have the Jazz getting to 57 wins.
Nice. Well, if you guys have a FanDuel account, I guess I haven't seen these on some offshores. I'll have to go to Iowa.
51 and a half, huh?
Last one, another higher one, Miami 52 and a half. That's 15 wins.
I am over, but not by as much as I am with the Jazz. I'm at. I got Miami at getting to 56.
It's juicy to that over. Grizzlies 50. I said one more, but I'm going to do one more. Grizzlies 53 and a half. Juicy.
Oh my God. I'm way over on that too. I'm at 58.
It is minus 128 to the over right now.
I
have no idea what the limits are. I can't bet sitting here in Minnesota on these without having someone do it for me.
I mean, I might be a little fat on the Grizzlies because I'm giving them 9 gimmies, and the gimmies, some of those maybe more competitive games.
Yeah, ask the Celtics. Gimmies aren't gimmies.
Gimmies aren't gimmies. Yeah, that's a good point. They lost to the Pistons,
which is not great.
No, it is not. Okay. Well, that was fun. Any other?
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more up to speed, and I sit and talk. The thing about sitting with Alex is we have a short form show during the day, and usually we'll skip over a bunch of the games he's not betting. So I usually get takes on 2 or 3 games that he is betting, and sometimes I miss some of this stuff. But no, it was good to get up to speed. Hopefully everybody else took something. I think there's a lot of things to take away from this, not only just informational, but some betting angles, definitely, especially if you want to get into those regular season adjusted win totals or any of these division or conference prices. Sounds like awards prices are just kind of effed unless you want to take some swings at MVP and think what you can do there or maybe defensive player of the year. I just need Tyler Hero to continue to be the 6th best player on that team all the time and win some sixth man of the year.
Ooh, I meant to put this up. Power Trip quotes. Do rolls count for bread bracket? Bread bracket. That was, of course, bread bracket. 2022. Not only do they count, Trip, Andy put one in the top 5.
Oh, my Brötchen.
Yeah.
If you go to Germany, like every bakery just has those and they're all good.
Yeah. Do you know I watched a Super Bowl one time in Austria and they used the German broadcast, and the big gag was they had a basket of bread shaped like a football, and they were all little Brötchens like a football, and the entire broadcast, it was just bread like a football, like
this bread is like a football.
This bread is like a football.
God damn it!
They had nothing else to talk about.
We're struggling to come to an end here, and you're putting me on one more. Have you ever seen the Russell Wilson product, the football bread things?
No.
Cool. Just if you guys, I'm going to leave you with this, and we're going to hit the music.
I can guarantee you it's big in Germany.
Google Russell Wilson bread football after this, and then just enjoy yourself. And with that, we'll catch you next Monday.
I got a post here from 2016. Is football shaped bread the wave of the future? Simply thought they were called Eat the Ball.
Eat the Ball.
Eat the Ball. Yes.